All right, let's talk about the engine that you never, ever see, but that powers pretty much your entire digital life. It's the hidden machinery behind every app you use, every website you visit, basically everything. So let's dive right in. Think about it for a second. It feels so instant, right? You type in your password, you hit that button, and boom, you're in. But what's really going on in that split second? Where does your info go? And how does the website magically know it's you? Well, that's the big mystery we're going to solve today.
So, to really get it, you have to understand that every single website or app is actually two things at the same time. There's the part you see, and then there's the part you don't.
On one side, you've got the front end. You can think of this as the storefront of a shop. It's everything you can see and touch, the layout, the colors, the buttons. But on the other side, you've got the back end, and that's the warehouse, the office, the engine room. It's where all the logic, all the data, and all the real heavy lifting happens, totally hidden from view. The front-end's job is all about what you see and feel. It's kind of like building a house. One language, HTML, gives it a solid structure, the walls and the rooms. Another, CSS, is like the interior designer, picking out all the colors and styles. And a third, JavaScript, is what installs the light switches and makes everything interactive. So when you're scrolling through your social media feed, you're really just admiring the front end's handiwork.
The back end, though, is a whole different story. It's the brains of the whole operation. It's the part that manages all the data, checks that you are who you say you are, and communicates with a database to get your information. So the moment you hit login on Facebook, the front end's job is pretty much done. It just hands your password over to the back end to do the real work.
Okay, so let's actually follow that single login click on its incredible blink and you'll miss it journey. This is where you'll see how the two sides work together perfectly.
So it all kicks off with your browser. We call that the client, sending out a request. That little signal zips across the internet to a powerful computer called a server, and that's where the back-end application wakes up. It takes your username and password and then asks the database, hey, you know this person? And finally, the server sends a response all the way back to you, saying either, yep, come on in, or sorry, wrong password. And the craziest part? This whole round trip happens faster than you can blink.
This whole back and forth process actually has a name. It's called client-server architecture. And it's not just some fancy term. It's the fundamental model that the entire modern web is built on. Your phone, your laptop, they're the clients, always asking for stuff. And out there are these powerful servers, just constantly responding with web pages and videos and data.
Honestly, the best way to wrap your head around this is to think of a restaurant. You're the customer, or the client, and you place an order. That's your request. The kitchen, which is the server, gets that order and prepares your food. That's the data. And as soon as it's ready, a waiter brings it right back out to your table. It's really a perfect analogy for how the web works. So, now that we're in the kitchen, so to speak, what kind of tools does the backend actually use to get all those orders ready?
Well, the first and probably most important tool is the database. If the backend is the kitchen, then the database is the pantry. It's where every single ingredient, every username, every single post, every product detail is stored in a super organized way, ready to be grabbed at a moment's notice.
And here's what that organization actually looks like. It's really just a highly structured table, almost like a spreadsheet on steroids, with these neat rows and columns. Every piece of information has its own specific place, which is exactly why the backend can find what it needs almost instantly.
Okay, so how does the order get from you, the customer, to the kitchen? That is the job of the API. In our restaurant analogy, the API is the waiter. The waiter gives you a menu of specific requests you can make, and then makes sure your order is communicated to the kitchen in a way it'll understand. It's the crucial middleman between the front end and the back end. And this is what that conversation actually looks like in code. The front end sends this super specific request, like, hey, get me the student with ID number 1. The API makes sure the back end gets it, and then it sends back only the data that was asked for in this perfectly clean, structured format. No extra fluff, no wasted information. That's what makes the whole system so incredibly fast and efficient.
Now, you can imagine that building all of this, the security, the database connections, everything, from scratch every single time would be a massive amount of work. And that's why developers use something called frameworks. A framework is like a professionally designed, pre-built kitchen. It comes with the ovens, the prep stations, and the safety features already installed, so the chef can just focus on what they do best, creating amazing dishes. So let's take a look at one of these professional kitchens in the real world. I want to introduce you to Django,
which is one of the most popular and powerful backend frameworks out there today.
Django is a framework built with the Python programming language, and it comes loaded with powerful features right out of the box. It has tools that make talking to databases super easy, an automatic admin panel for managing data, and this is a big one, top-tier security features that protect against common web attacks. It saves developers a ridiculous amount of time.
And I guarantee you've seen Django in action, even if you had no idea. It's the engine behind some massive applications, like Instagram and Spotify. So next time you're scrolling through photos or listening to your favorite playlist, you're interacting with a system built on the power and reliability of a framework like Django.
So, after this whole journey from our screen to the server and back again, let's just pull it all together and talk about why this hidden world of the backend is so incredibly important.
Let's recap our trip to the restaurant one last time. The front end is the beautiful dining room where you're sitting. The back end is the busy kitchen that's making everything happen. The database is that fully stocked pantry. The API is the efficient waiter taking your order. And a framework like Django, that's the professional-grade kitchen equipment that makes the whole operation run like clockwork.
Ultimately, that's what it all comes down to. The beautiful apps and websites we use every single day are really just the tip of the iceberg. The real power, the real complexity, and all the magic, that happens in the back end. It truly is the invisible engine of our digital world.
The backend is the silent, powerful force that delivers our data, connects us with our friends, and runs the services we just can't live without. So, the next time you click login, you'll know all about that click's epic split-second journey. Now that you've had a peek behind the curtain, what do you think this invisible engine is going to power next?